Hey, what the hell are you doing walking around dressed like Star Wars?
It's Comic-Con, you idiot. We're going to the Javits Center.
Well, you're the idiots, because you three guys would never be walking together.
Yeah, you're his boss, and you two guys are enemies.
Yeah, bite me, Captain Kirk.
Hey, whoa, come on. No, that's Star Trek.
Yeah, that's two different franchises.
Yeah, sorry, guys. She doesn't know.
Nah, it's okay. I'm sorry you have to deal with that.
Let's go.
Oh, hey, come on. It's not worth it, man. It's not worth it. Not worth it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fanzone Debate. We are here at the finals of our tournament. Very exciting, exciting tournament to say the least. And coming out of it, two competitors, both very good at this. I don't think they've played before, though I could be wrong. No, they haven't. I'm getting the thumbs up. Or maybe that means yes, they have. I don't fucking know. We got the number 2 seed, Joe Farrelly, is going up against the number 4 seed, Nazario Montenegro. I'm excited about this one. Both players very good, both having a good tournament. Joe especially starting out, going up against Alex and beating Alex, and then having a really good match against Robert Kastner to punch his ticket here into the finals. On the other end of things, we had Bill Carriola. Then he had to drop out. And then there was Nazario. Nazario came in and he was like, hey, I'm here. And he played Jacoby and knocked him out 3-0. It was disgusting, crazy. And so Nazario earns his spot here to play Joe. And the winner is going to go play Kirk. So Brian and Javi are here. Gentlemen, quick thoughts. We'll start with Brian. Brian, you look. There was a shock, a surprise when I told you the results of that last match.
I wasn't at that match, so I didn't know.
Yeah, does this get you hyped? What do you think?
It doesn't surprise me that he won. It's just surprised to see Jacoby get knocked out. I mean, that's kind of intense. Must have been an off night or something. I don't know. As far as these two, I don't care who wins as long as whoever wins can guarantee me they beat Kirk. That makes me happy.
That's fair. Javi, you've gone from blue to less blue to blue again. Yeah. I think it's just the mood lighting. I think you're trying to make something happen. Are you excited for this one?
I am, yeah. This should be fun. I don't think either of them can guarantee a win against Kirk, although I do think either of them could do it. This is going to be fun. I like both of these players. I think they have different styles, and I'm excited to see how this turns out.
Yeah, so let's bring in the lower seeded player first, Nazario. Oh, and he brought a manager. Nazario,
manager, man.
You excited?
I'm excited because of Javi's light makes me want to get a bottle of Courvoisier.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm alright. Like, I'm not supposed to be here today, Mike. Like, I wasn't invited to this tournament. No.
Look like a pussy with those sunglasses on, by the way.
Yeah, I know. They're my kids. I actually am enjoying the ride because it's unearned. So I don't really know if it means anything if I lose at all.
Well, that's your whole trivia career anyway, so why not bring it to debate?
That is actually fair. I appreciate it.
Also, if just for the people out there, if you didn't watch Mike's match from last week, my goodness. Yeah. All right, let's bring in Joe. Joe, Nazario is scary. You were giving me a thumbs up. I didn't know what it meant earlier. Does it mean that you guys have played before and now you're scared more, or you've played before and you're not scared of them?
We played once before. I think we went down to sudden death. It was Middle Earth, if I remember rightly.
That's right.
Best battle or something in a Middle Earth film, I think was the question. And it was good, but yeah, Nazario's attitude today, it's kind of scary because I have no idea what's going to come. And like I said before, after I beat Robert, I said, you said it's Nazario or it's Jacoby, and I said Nazario has an unpredictable style, and that's worrying.
Yes. I'm excited. Let's get into it, guys. Here's how it's going to work. Each player drafted 2 categories, 1 fandom and 1 general movies, Mike. Not letting anyone else get away with it. Last week, Mike may or may not have somehow gotten away with drafting 2 general movie categories and not fandom, and it slipped by me until we were shooting the match. So anyway, 1 from fandom, 1 from general movies. And we gave them questions based on the categories. They're going to debate them tonight before our very souls. So each player is going to get a 1-minute opening, followed by a 5-minute free form, then a 1-minute closing. At the end of the debate, Brian, Javi, and I will write on our boards who we thought won the debate. 2 out of 3 votes wins you a point. First person to 3 points wins the match. Gentlemen, any questions as we kick off this here finals contender match?
Nope. Good luck, Nazario.
Can we sweep the leg?
All right, we're going to kick this off with the first category, which was drafted by Joe in the category of comedy. Or no, directors. I'm sorry, directors. The question is, what is the best comedic performance in a Mel Brooks film? Joe, because you drafted this, you get to kick it. Oh, whoops. Sorry, Joe. You get to kick it off. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
Mel Brooks is one of film's most iconic comedy directors. His comedy style is unique, and when that material is given to the right actor, it's mesmerizing. And it's the kind of comedic performance that stands the test of time. There's no denying Blazing Saddles is a masterpiece, and for me, it's the funniest and most rewatchable of Mel Brooks films. And they say a good movie is only as good as its villain. And to that end, I believe that Harvey Korman's performance as Hedley Lamar is the best comedic performance in a Mel Brooks film. As the villain of the piece, Lamar often appears more serious than many other characters, but it's that seriousness that leads to some of the best comic delivery line in film history. It's that straight man performance that's made so many other comedies about, like Leslie Nielsen in Airplane and things like that. But Korman is also a master of comedic timing. He has a scene-stealing presence that perfectly balances satire, wit, and delivery. It's iconic, it's hilarious, it's perfect.
Okay. We're going to move over to Nazario. Nazario, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
You are right that Blazing Saddles is fucking hilarious, but it's because of Gene Wilder's performance. Wilder's performance is the comedic anchor of the film. His deadpan delivery and dry wit contrast perfectly with the surrounding absurdity. His presence elevates every scene he's in. Without him, the film risks becoming just chaos without any heart or ground. His timing is impeccable. Like lines like, "My name is Jim, but most people call me Jim," are delivered with subtle brilliance and rewards that rewatching of the movie. He's not just funny. He adds emotional depth, making the comedy richer and more resonant, and his chemistry with Cleveland Little gives the film his heart and allows the other characters to shine more.
Okay. All right. Gonna bring back in Joe. Guys, you have 5 minutes to freeform, and one of you starts talking. I will throw up the 1 minute warning when the time comes. If one of you is talking over your opponent, I will throw up the let your opponent talk. Don't make me do that. Probably won't send Nick to your house. I keep threatening that, but I probably won't. He lives far away, and he just told me he's not going to fly anymore. So 5 minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
feel
So
like
your character is a caricature that it's only funny because everybody else in the scenes that he's in is more funny than him. He's just there to react as a straight man, and that is not a good comedic performance.
No, I'm sorry, that's wrong. I think Wilder is actually very, very one note in this. He sort of has the same sort of that deadpan satire, like you said. He's sort of there to, anchor the film, which I don't think is true. I think what Korman gives us is a different reaction with different characters. He's played when he's with Mel Brooks as governor.
You said your character is a great villain. He's not. He lacks nuance. His world becomes a cartoon that undermines everything that happens in the movie.
It's not a cartoon.
He's just there to react to everybody else's character, and he does nothing.
He does plenty. You get his interactions with Mel Brooks as governor, and you get that frustration and that everyone.
The
around
governor is funny.
You get the stuff with Taggart, which is the
Taggart is funny.
The shit kicker and all that stuff. You get the horny desperation when he's around Lily von Stuck and all that Lily legs Lily. It is a caricature, but the thing is, it's an over the top performance, but it's funny. That's what it needs to be for that film. Wilder has deadpan lines, and that's it. You know, he doesn't stand out. Lamar stands out. Everyone else it feels like a parody of that Western character. But Corman's exaggerated dialogue, reaction to traditional Western dialogue, the physical comedy, like the spit take when he sees Bart coming at the cinema, like, oh shit, and comes out. When he comes out and he gets the gunpoint, all that sort of stuff. That's genuine funny. It's not just reacting to stuff. Gene actually gives a really good dramatic performance when he's talking about his past, his alcoholism, and all that. But it's not about best performance; it's best comedic performance.
You have to stop at some point so I can talk and tell you how wrong you are. Because, like you said, everything that happens with Hedley Lamar is just reactive. Like when you look for like the best scenes in the movie with Hedley Lamar, they're always because of somebody else. It's because of Taggart being a fucking jackass that wants to, do number 6 and rape them women. Or like when he's interacting with Mel Brooks as the governor, who is funny, I guess, but it steals most of the scenes because he cannot see, because he's a racist and he doesn't really want to acknowledge it because his eyes are cross-eyed. And all Hadley does there is react and correct him like, my name is Hedley, not Heddy. And he doesn't really have anything beyond that. He's a one-note villain that lacks subtlety. He's very cartoonish. What Gene Wilder, in fact, is just supportive. Yes, he has a tragic story, but that's what adds depth to his character. He has an arc. And he has some of the most memorable lines of the movie.
I don't care about the dramatic performance. I'm talking about the comedic performance. And it's not just reactions because
best
he gets
lines
those
of
moments.
The movie.
No, he gets those moments when he's delivering his plan to Cleveland Little and when he's delivering his plan to Governor Mel Brooks. That's him delivering. When he's delivering his whole speech about, standing for the evil, don't go do that voodoo, that's not reaction. That's giving a proper villain speech, which is full of difference of subtlety, wit, delivery, all that. So it's not just reaction.
Like I said, Gene Wilder is an anchor of the film because he has the relationship with the sheriff, with that is all very heartfelt. And yes, it is hilarious because the deadpan humor he projects is like he twists things where you don't expect them. Like the "My name Jane" line is a perfect example. Another one is like, "What were you expecting? These are simple folk. The salt, the that come from the earth, the basis of the new West. Morons." It's fucking hilarious because of the way he does it. And yeah, he's like, I was the Waco kid. And then one day, a 6-year-old shot me in the ass. Come on, man. That's fucking great. Like the way he delivers these things, that fuck serious is what makes him funny.
It's all dialogue. Funny dialogue written by Mel Brooks that's delivered deadpan. All right,
because of the way he delivers it works. If he wasn't delivering the correct way, it would just go straight over people's head. Like I said, every single scene that your character is in, it's made better because of the people acting according to the movie around him. He's just sitting there.
He's not. You just said he's doing the reactions. And his reactions are playing to the audience, but it's not facial reactions though, is it? He delivers good speeches, good lines. He has different interactions with different people that are funny on different levels. Gene Wilder is deadpan with everybody, and
it has a dramatic arc story that has more resonance, and he's funnier because of the way he delivers the lines that Mel Brooks wrote for him.
But he just delivers them deadpan. What Harvey Korman offers is a physicality. It's a balance of subtlety and wit and all these other things that come into it. That's not just the lines given, because it's not just doing it deadpan like Gene Wilder is.
All he does is surface level cartoony absurdity. It undermines the stakes of the movie.
It's a Mel Brooks film.
Everything else around him is funnier than him. That is his worst sin.
In a Mel Brooks film. Shock.
You are muted, sir.
Nazario, we're going to close with you first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
I do believe that Hedley Lamar leans too much into slapstick and caricature, and it becomes grating, to be honest, a little over time. In every scene he appears, they are memorable because of the other characters there. Taggart is there, Madeline Kahn is there, Mel Brooks is there, and everybody remembers their part, and Hedley is just there being the evil guy, one-note cartoon character. Like I said, Wilder's performance is more of the heart of the film. It elevates every scene he's in. Yes, it has some dramatic weight with it, but that's not a bad thing for a comedy role because it makes it even funnier when he does the turns. Like I said with the gym line, like I said with the Soul of the Earth moron line, like he is the guy that keeps the sheriff pushing him forward through the story. And the fact that he comes from being a villain and having like a dark backstage just makes it funnier when he turns. Everything he comes out of his mouth is hilarious, and the way he delivers it is key for what they are trying to achieve with this movie. Like, unlike Wilder, Corman doesn't bring any depth to the comedy. It's all surface level. See, my point is solid like this, but my delivery style is more like this.
Okay, we're gonna go over to Joe. Joe, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Harvey Korman brings his mastery of slapstick satire, wit, farce, and delivery to the role of Hedley Lamar. It may be slapstick, yes, but this is a film that ends with a breaking of the fourth wall with people fighting in a musical theatre film. All right, this is what it's supposed to be. All right, he has a range of different comedic styles, outshining every other cast member in doing so. Lamar is the character that is the most quotable, the most memorable, because he delivers the funniest moments in the funniest ways. Gene Wilder, while being a master of comedy, has his comedic performance subdued by the film's requirements to have Jim be a more sympathetic character. While he plays the Waco Kid fantastically, it cannot be considered the best comedic performance because the comedic moments are less frequent and do not stand out in the way that others do. Yes, he has funny lines, but these are written by Mel Brooks. His delivery, as Nazario said, is deadpan throughout. He doesn't offer any range. What Harvey Korman does, whether he's with Mel Brooks, it's frustrated. When it's with Madeline Kahn, it's horny desperation, variety.
Time. Okay. Gonna bring in the judges.
You know, it's funny, Tim. You said if they go over, or sorry, if you throw up the let your opponent talk. I did that with Kastner, and Nick surprisingly did get very close to my house. So
that's true. That's accurate.
It was pleasant though. We had IHOP.
Yeah, I heard. Talked about it on before.
That could be dangerous. How do I subdue Nick without an IHOP in this country?
I know. Okay. Good. I almost threw up the let your opponent talk 87 times, but so be careful, Nazario, of letting Joe finish his thoughts. I went with Joe. I haven't seen this movie in a long time. And I've only seen it once. So I don't remember much of it. But based on the arguments, I thought Joe just gave me a little bit more as to why his overall performance was the better comedic performance. I think he hit something on the head really well. Nazario he course corrected, but he spent a lot of the beginning of his argument talking about the performance as a whole and the character arc and stuff. And Joe rightfully kind of pushed off on that and said, we're not talking about that. And then Nazario kind of course corrected, but I think that Joe just did a better job overall on the overall comedic performance. I get what Nazario was going for, of saying like the deadpan delivery is on purpose and that's what makes it funny. But I think Joe proved to me that his character's performance was the best because of the delivery of the lines in multiple types of situations. So, Brian, your thoughts?
My thoughts are that Blazing Saddles is not a funny movie. But to be fair, most Mel Brooks movies aren't funny. So let's just be honest here. That being said, I also did go with Joe. I think a lot of the same reasons that Tim said, but I also feel like Nazario spent a large chunk of his time trying to attack Joe's pick, with that gave him not as much time to kind of really push his own. He defended against the attacks well, but he didn't like say enough to push and kind of convince me that his was the funny one.
Okay, Javi, your vote doesn't count. Where would you have gone on why?
Yeah, I'm really bad at gauging performance, both from like an argument standpoint and like from a judging standpoint. So this was tough. I actually went with Nazario. I think I'm sorry that my vote didn't count for anything, Nazario, but I will say that I think I just got more out of the like Yeah, it's a more subtle performance. It's very it's dry, but it's on purpose. Like that's clearly the point that they're going for, and that's what Gene Wilder kind of brings to most of his performances. Like even like Young Frankenstein, or not really Willy Wonka, but that's a different. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You get it. I think Joe did a good job. Part of the problem was that I couldn't quite remember who Joe's character was and Joe's actor. So obviously that played a part in it, but I think Nazario reminded me more of Gene Wilder's character. So, yep.
Okay. All right. Joe leads 1-0. We're going to move on to the next category, which was drafted by Nazario. And my God, Mike, it is in the category of Disney. And the question is, who is the best character in a Disney package film? Nazario, you drafted this. You get to go first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
By nature, package films are short films, so getting a best character on it is kind of a challenging little thing to do. But I think the obvious answer here is Ichabod Crane for the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, because Ichabod is a fully realized character. It's multi-layered, funny, flawed, charming, and yes, cowardly, which makes him actually kind of unique for the Disney oeuvre. His segments in this short blend horror and comedy masterfully, and he anchors both very well. The Headless Horseman's chase is one of the Disney's most iconic animated sequences. Ichabod's terrified expression and the way he does physical comedy with it is pretty unforgettable. He showcases the best of Disney's era of the 40s era with animation, expressive motion, character-driven storytelling, and tonal complexity. Because no other package film has the depth and lasting cultural impact that Ichabod Crane has. Like, everybody knows who he is, even at this stage in age, because he is, the goofy, funny teacher that runs away from the Headless Horseman.
Okay. We're going to go over to Joe. Joe, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
I think Nazario makes a good point. The characters in Disney package films are interesting to analyze because we don't really get a lot of time with them. But for me, 1948's Melody Time, in just an 8-minute segment, gives us the best character in any of Disney's package films. Little Toot is a tugboat, learning from his dad about pulling large ships into port. And after accidentally causing a ship to crash into the city, he's very unfairly punished. He's banished from the harbour, the buoys chant shame at him, very Game of Thrones style scene. Even the lighthouse refuses to light his way. And despite all this hardship, when Little Toot comes across a ship in distress, he faces his fears, he steps up, he deals with all these hardships, he perseveres, and he guides it safely back into port. And this is a character who in just 8 minutes shows a tremendous personality. And it's the perfect inspiration for children in a world that was only 3 years out of World War II. And I think this is a really important characteristic for a character in what is essentially a children's film.
Okay. 5 minutes when one of you starts.
I think the best characters need to have growth. Ichabod Crane has no growth. The interesting and moral part of the story is a warning, and he doesn't really learn anything. We can't know for sure the consequences of his greed.
He's a completely multi-layered character, like I said. He is not only funny, he's flawed because all he wants is fucking food, and that's why he goes after the rich women and the fat women because they can feed him. But he's also pretty cowardly and selfish, which that is kind of like a complete character. That is a character that has multi-layers and facets. Your character is just a little boat that learns the lesson and then wins people over. It's just the same as, why couldn't you pick like Pedro from Saludos Amigos? The little plane that they thought couldn't do the delivery of the mail, and then he finally does it. It's the same thing. It's too basic. It's like a toddler's kind of arc for a movie. How can you say that is the best character of all the short films?
Because this is a Disney package film. This is aimed at children. This is 3 years out of World War II, when overcoming hardships, persevering despite those hardships, is actually quite an important thing. And that's why I think Little Toot encapsulates that. And I think it's a very unique character. We've had other planes.
I just gave you another character. There is a carbon copy of it. How is that a unique character?
It's not a carbon copy. It's definitely not a carbon copy, right? You can go for the little Pedro the plane, but he's not banished. He's not outcast. He's just trying to get through a storm. That's all it is.
Oh, then let's go with the penguin. The story of the penguin that gets banished from Antarctica because he likes to do other fucking stuff, and then he goes strong.
But again, there's no overcoming.
What I'm saying is that your character is very generic. That's what I'm saying.
Your character is very generic. Ichabod is incidental. The action and the story happens around him, right? The story around
to him
is less accessible.
They happen to him.
Yeah, they happen to him, and nothing really changes about his character. He doesn't grow. He's the same at the beginning. Well, I think he's the same at the end. We don't even know what happens to him, but nothing ever changes. You know, he doesn't learn from anything. He doesn't grow as a character. There's nothing interesting about it. The story itself, for you, is more geared towards older audiences, but Ichabod's still an alienating character because he's greedy, because he's selfish, because he's cowardly. These are all things that alienate you as an audience. Little Two, on the other hand, is inspirational and relatable.
The question is not what Disney character from package film is best for 3 years or for kids or what is intended. Is what is the best character. The best character is memorable both for kids and adults. Ichabod Crane is a character that's memorable for adults. You say your character is unique. It's not unique at all. You have a story about a short penguin that gets banished. You have a story about a little plane that cannot deliver the mail until he proves that he can do it. Every single one of these stories is the same story with a different vehicle and or animal learning the same freaking reason. Like I said, Ichabod is a full character. The story happens to him, which is good. Like he doesn't have to have an arc and develop to be the best character. He has to be the most memorable one. He is funny. He is cowardly. He is fucking memorable as you see him running away from the Headless Horseman. The fact that we don't know how his story ends doesn't matter for this question. It's just one thing that adds more to his mystery and his lore. Everybody remembers Ichabod Crane. He is the character that we all stick with. Nobody knows who your freaking boat is. People think it's the plane or the penguin.
People know who Ichabod Crane is because of Sleepy Hollow and Johnny Depp. All right, they don't remember it because of the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. All right, you say, "Oh, he's memorable." You know, my character's not memorable, and your scene is memorable of the chase of the horseman scene. Nothing Ichabod Crane does is memorable. I couldn't tell you a thing he does. All right, there's not a moment where Ichabod Crane becomes a character you relate to. You've not mentioned anything that the character does apart from get.
How do you relate to your boat? You are pushing things that makes no sense.
Right, it's a little bit right. It's a little bit of you have to actually look at some of the metaphor of it and just say like, yes, overcome hardships. You've made a mistake, and you have to rectify that mistake. That is relatable. You have to persevere through hardships in order to rectify your mistakes. It's not a hard message to relate to. Nothing about your character has been memorable.
The message that your character is sending is the same message that every other short film in the Disney era sends. It is so generic that you cannot even know which one of the short story it is.
But that's the point. You may say it's every other one, but this is the one that does it the best. It's about being the best.
The point is that people cannot tell which movie your short belongs to. That is the point.
Yes, but people only remember yours because of Johnny Depp and Sleepy Hollow. So, no one actually remembers the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad either.
Caleb Coho does, I assure you. Also, they are very famous.
I don't know how to count
the movie from Johnny Depp.
Sorry. Yeah, we should probably strike that from the record. I don't think anything that guy cares about matters. Okay. That was really mean. I apologize.
Sorry, an extra 2 seconds because I'm striking that.
I apologize. Okay, we're going to start with Joe on this one. Joe, you have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
Little Two is the best character in a Disney package film. He's relatable, flawed, inspirational, and comes with a hell of a catchy song. Little Two fights against adversity and comes out the other side strong. He is the perfect character for kids today, and even more so in that post-World War II era. Ichabod Crane may be flawed, but there's very little that makes him relatable. You can have great characters that inspire, like Superman. You can have great characters that are intriguing and complex, like the Joker. But Ichabod Crane is none of these. Crane is the lead character in an interesting story where all the main events and points of interest happen to him and around him rather than because of him. He's not a memorable character. The memorable moment that Nazario has mentioned is a chase scene where all he does is run away. There's no moral lesson. There's no character growth. There is nothing for you to say, this was a great character. This character had a great arc. Whereas Little Two, in just 8 minutes, has a great arc. Goes from accident prone to redeeming himself.
Time. Okay, we're going to go over to Nazario. Nazario, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
Ichabod Crane is a classic character, and he is very much many things. He's selfish. He's a scared person. He is like I said, selfish. He wants money. He wants women, and he is a scaredy cat because he gets afraid of the horseman. Yes, it's a memorable short. It's a memorable story, and it's a memorable scene. But it's a complete story, and it's a complete scene. Little Toot, in the other hand, is a bland character with no real personality beyond mischievous child. His story is over moralistic and simplistic. Doesn't have any nuance, such as the story of Sleepy Hollow. His segment is more like a nursery rhyme. Yes, for toddlers, like Joe was trying to pitch. The problem is that it's so generic that there are 10 other shorts. I remember 3 out of nowhere, like the penguin segment and the little plain Pedro segment. It is so generic that you cannot even identify which one is which without just watching the movies. You cannot even tell which movie they are. It feels dated. It's ambitious. It doesn't give you any real memories. And Ichabod Crane is a lasting cultural impact character.
Okay. Gonna bring in the judges.
But I thought you'd never see this fight happen.
Yeah, right.
Sucks that my internet is fucking crapping out tonight.
All right. Javi, you are starting us off on this one.
This was good. I don't like most of the package films, just because they're very generic, all of them, which made this particularly difficult. I went with Joe. I think Joe gave me more of why the character's interesting. I like Nazario's point of like, yeah, Pedro the airplane and
It's the rare birds penguin. I forgot.
Yeah,
the name.
the bird. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The penguin. I forgot about. Yeah, Pablo the penguin. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Thank you. See, I'm getting better at them. Yeah, they're the same. They do the same story arc. But I didn't get enough about why Ichabod is a good character. Like, he doesn't do much. Like, it's just like Brom Bones is just like, I'm going to scare you. And then there's a headless horseman. And it's just like, oh, people remember Ichabod more. It's like, well, yeah, because the name of the character's in the title of it. But he's clearly, even his short is playing second fiddle to Mr. Toad's. I just like the idea of like, yeah, he's perseverance. He has an arc in the 8 minutes. The catchy song actually also got me. I was just like, that is actually probably the only song I remember in this package film. So yeah, Joe.
Okay. I went with Nazario. I thought Nazario's takedown of the train, very strong, kind of talking about
boat, not train.
Yeah, whatever, the boat. Yeah, exactly. There you go. See, he said the stuff about the penguin and the plane and everything. I thought that did hold a lot of weight for me, and I thought he did a good job with Ichabod, kind of saying like he's a character that has a lasting impression, and just because he might not be a good person, he wants money and women and stuff like that. That's what makes him like a memorable character. It's not necessarily that he's a good guy. It's that just like the best character. And I thought just like the strongest part though for me was Nazario's takedowns of Joe's character. And I thought Joe did a good job. I really liked the angle on like, coming out of World War II. This is like a very interesting story and a good story for kids and stuff. But I thought Nazario had a good comeback by saying, like, yeah, and Ichabod's a good one for adults. So, like, it doesn't matter if it's kids, adults, whatever. So, I went with Nazario. Brian, your thoughts?
Nazario. I think for me, it just came down to the question because Joe spent a lot of time talking about, why his was more inspirational or like his was good for kids and things like that. But the question isn't, which is a good character, it's which is the best character. Like the best character, like, Darth Vader can be the best character in Star Wars. Doesn't mean he's like a good guy. He's a bad guy. You don't have to be a good person to be the best character. So Nazario's giving a little more as far as why his was, kind of interesting across the board. And I didn't take this into account in my judging, but the idea that nobody knows Ichabod Crane except for Sleepy Hollow Johnny Depp is so wrong. Because for so long before that, all we ever knew of Ichabod Crane was the Disney cartoon, and then Jeff Goldblum version, and then eventually Johnny Depp. Just saying.
There's a Jeff Goldblum version.
Oh yeah, it's a short. It's fun.
I gotta look that up. Okay. All right. We are all tied up. 1-1. We are moving on to the next question, which was drafted by Joe in the category of the MCU. The question is, what is the best scene in a Phase 5 MCU film? Joe, you are kicking this one off. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
The best scene in a Phase 5 MCU film is without a doubt the closing scene of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, featuring Florence and the Machine's Dog Days Are Over. The best word I can use to describe this scene is a catharsis. In a 4-minute scene, we get emotionally satisfying resolutions to all of our Guardians, finding their purpose, feeling happy and content. And it's a really powerful scene that works as an ending to their story. Peter finally reunites with his family. Rocket gets to lead the Guardians. Drax becomes a father again, albeit surrogate. At its heart, the Guardians of the Galaxy has always been about two major things: found family and music. And this scene, our closing one for this story, encapsulates that and gives us an emotional, satisfying conclusion for all of our characters. And us as an audience can sit there, enjoy it, and just have that big emotional catharsis when you watch it. It's perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Gonna bring in Nazario. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
I think he picked the right movie. I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is probably the best movie of the whole Phase 5. But the correct scene is actually the scene where Lyla dies. The High Evolutionary kills all friends, Rocket's friends. It's the emotional apex of not just the film, but the entire Rocket journey throughout the MCU, because it kind of reframes everything we know about him. The scene is raw, violent, heartbreaking. It's pretty much unlike anything else in the MCU on tone or intensity. It raises the emotional stake far beyond, the usual superhero tropes and gives moral complexity to the story. The animation and the voice acting, especially by Linda Cardellini in this sequence, are on par with top-tier drama, not just comic book movies. It is the kind of scene that stays with you because it's pretty gut-wrenching, unflinching, and essential. And like Joe said, like when you need that release, there's nothing that will give you more release than Rocket just fucking tearing the fuck out of the face of the High Evolutionary because of what he just did. Die, fucker.
Jeez. All right. All right. 5 minutes, one of you starts talking, though I'm surprised that none of you took the reveal of MODOK. I thought that was really going to be high up there. Anyway, 5
yeah.
You used a lot of different words to basically describe a scene that is just depressing. It's a scene that is
fucking great.
It's a scene that is built to throughout your movie, but it resolves it in the most obvious way. Here's all of Rocket's friends you haven't seen before. I wonder what could have happened to them. Yes, it is emotional, but it's kind of predictable in a way.
You're giving me shit because my scene is predictable when your ending of the movie is the most safe, conventional ending that could have happened to the movie. And it undermines all the storytelling that came before. This is a pretty dark fucking movie. And to just end it like, let's put on a song and let's just walk around and pretend we're all happy and everybody's going to their next adventure or whatever, it's pretty jarring after such a violent, dark story. The song even feels a little forced rather than feeling organic. It plays like, hey, let's feel good right now after all that drama.
No, you see, what your scene does do is it does do a good job of informing my scene, because it does link back to that found family aspect of the Guardians of the Galaxy that's really important. But what's more important is Rocket's newfound family that gets him over that. But it's not just about Rocket, it's about the Guardians. You have Peter going back to his old family. You have Gamora, which we all, you say safe and conventional. I think we all thought going into this, especially after Endgame, that this movie was going to be Gamora and Peter sort of reuniting and getting back together. But that doesn't happen. Gamora gets her newfound family with the Ravagers.
That is not on your scene. That is the movie. She doesn't get the family in the end of the movie. She has it.
She rejoins the Ravagers while
Florence. She has it.
She
it's
rejoins
not earned by your scene.
That's her deciding not to join the Guardians, although she's been back with them. Not to I say rejoin doesn't really work, but it's about her finding her. It's about the characters reuniting with their newfound families. That's an important part of what the Guardians is.
This is what you're just saying. You're saying it's about you're reuniting with your found family. That is the message of your movie, and everybody's going their separate ways. Like Mantis is going with two critters to whatever. Fucking Star-Lord is going to Earth, back to his original family, not his found family, and Gamora is going back to the family that she earned off screen during the story before your scene. Like I said, yes, we all know why Rocket is he's a traumatized character. He's always been touchy about the thing. Like, don't call me a raccoon. I don't know what I am. And they fucking mess with me so much I cannot even remember. So all those dramas that we were only getting hints before, this is where we get the explanation. And the explanation is heartbreaking. Did we expect it to be a sad story? Yes, but we wouldn't know how specifically fucking dark it would be. And this just gives him so much pathos and so much weight to the character. It recontextualizes the whole story of everything we have seen from Rocket since the original Guardians of the Galaxy. It's fucking great.
It doesn't recontextualize it because he's always had that darkness to him. It just explains it. It doesn't recontextualize, it contextualizes. What the thing is, the problem with your scene, you talk about that thing about the end about the face getting scratched up and how a relief that is. It's not, because the High Evolution's comeuppance doesn't properly come until the Guardians defeat him together. It's a violent outbreak, yes, but it doesn't have that satisfaction because he gets away with it, and you see all the things he gets to do because he failed to kill him throughout the movie.
I believe you missed the point of the thing. Like, the High Evolutionary is one of the most self-prick, like, believe on himself, high horse people ever, and he gets his fucking face destroyed by a creature that he does not deem worthy of existing. To him, Rocket was pointless. He was a failed experiment. Listen to my point. He was a failed fucking experiment that meant less than nothing to the man, and he lost his face to it. Like, he had to get a fucking mask to cover his shame for the rest of the film. He gets his comeuppance in the end by dying, but dying is the easy part. Living with the fucking pain that he was caused by somebody he considered insignificant. He didn't pay him enough attention to not look back to him after he killed all his fucking family. That is comeuppance, man, and it's satisfying as fuck. And like I said, the voice acting by Linda Cardinelli as Lila is heartbreaking because you know that she was the Rocket's true friend, his true love, and the way he just screams that guttural pain when he fucking sees her die, it's heartbreaking, man.
Groot is Rocket's true love. Let's not get muddied on that. All right, the High Evolution coming doesn't properly come, and it's a satisfying one when all the Guardians link together in order to kill him. Your scene is an inciting incident. It provides motivation for two characters, whereas what my scene does, it provides a satisfying conclusion for a multitude of characters that we have grown to love through over a decade. That's the difference here. Your scene is in the moment.
Every single Guardians of the Galaxy movie ends with songs and a happy message and everybody going like, yeah, we're still here and we're going there. Come on, man. Like, they set up their next. It's all about setting up their next adventures. And like I said, it goes against the message of the found family of the film because everybody splits up.
All right. After Endgame, I think we all expected things to go a certain way for the Guardians, and they don't go that way. All right. The satisfying conclusion that we get is built.
Nobody expected them to go to Love and Thunder.
Informing my scene, but what it doesn't do is conclude in any satisfying way.
God, let's not talk about Love and Thunder. Okay. I don't hate the movie, but my God. Okay. Nazario, we are starting with you. You got 1 minute when you start talking.
My scene is the emotional apex of the Rocket story. It's just raw, violent, heartbreaking. It sticks with you. And yes, it's satisfying as fuck to get that motherfucker's face all scratched and destroyed. And he has to live with that shit. It's the kind of scene that stays with the audience, gut-wrenching, essential for the story. The animation and the voice acting in the sequence are also top tier. It's very, very, it's heavy drama that sticks with you. Your scene, it's just like the scene of every other Guardians of the Galaxy movie. They play a song, the song that even feels forced, and it's just like, hey, let's feel good right now. It betrays the found family concept of the story because everybody goes their own separate way. Even Mantis looks disappointed when she just turns around and lives with the two freaking monsters. Visually also, it's kind of underwhelming. Mostly people walking and smiling and dancing, and the cinematic power of the earlier part of the movie is not there. It's safe. It's conventional ending, and it really undermines the darkness of this story. The best part of this story is all the gritty content that it has before.
Let's go over to Joe. Joe, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
The final scene of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 blends the two most important aspects of Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, found family and great music, in a scene which you can just boil down to nods and reactions as its most simplistic. What you actually get are satisfying final moments for a host of characters that we've grown to know and love over a decade. The music has been so important over this time. The choice of song fits perfectly for where our characters are at and where they are going. Nazario's scene, while interesting as motivation and something the film has been building up to, it winds up being something predictable and lacking a true emotional or inspiring catharsis that a truly great scene provides. What Nazario's scene is depressing. It lacks that proper catharsis because we know that the High Evolutionary survives and goes on to do more evil things to other people. If that was his death scene, it would have more catharsis to it and have that more satisfying ending. Yes, the Guardians, I don't think it ends in a safe way either, because the safe would be them staying together. Because they're going their separate ways, it's more emotional and it fits better with the series.
Okay. Bring in the judges. We are starting with Mr. Michaels.
I went Nas again on this one. I think that I think he just did a better job of telling me why his kind of scene, between everything coming together from the emotion to the animation to the character to the plot points, everything. It's seen just as a complete scene. It works better. It's more memorable. It's a better scene. Joe's, I think that while it is a great ending to the movie, I think that the fact that it does, cut between many different things, it doesn't really work as a cohesive scene. And so it's not as, as memorable as you can't really single that out as much as Nazario's.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm in words today. I can't talk.
I thought you were great. Javi.
I thought my vote wouldn't count all night. I also went with Nazario. I think Nazario. I think both did really well. I think you chose the two best scenes in the movie. I think it just hit home more as to Nazario was able to encapsulate why, this is why Rocket is the way he is. There's a darkness to him, but you don't really know what it is, and then you finally see it. I think Joe pushed back on it pretty well, being like, oh, it's Rocket's friends. Who knows what happened to them? It's like, yeah, obviously they died. They would have had to. But Nazario gave me more of a, the performances are good. It's more about, it's the shame of, this creature that he doesn't even think should exist was able to hurt him. That was also a really good point. And I think his dig at Joe being like, if it's all about found family, why did they leave each other? I thought that was that was a good little cherry on top.
Okay, my vote doesn't count, but I also went Nazario. Coming out of the intro, I was like, whoa, Joe, slow down there, buddy. You're doing too well. And I think that Joe did very well the whole time. But the way that Joe painted that final scene, which is a very memorable, really great scene, I love that scene, was really good. And I think this was the best fight of the night for sure. Both know the movie pretty well, clearly. And the fact that there was a back and forth, that I thought that there was a good back and forth between both. I thought Nazario, like my fellow judges, just kind of had the one up each time. There were some instances where I thought Joe hit it on the head. I think the point that Javi just made, of Nazario saying well, why'd they all leave each other? I think Joe answered that pretty well, of saying well, they're going to their different found families. Rocket is leading the Guardians, and Peter's going back to see his grandfather, and stuff like he explained that. But I think Nazario is just overall this is a dark scene. It's a dark movie. We're getting the contextualization of this character, of this moment. He talked about the guttural screams of Rocket and stuff, just very descriptive. And it just painted the picture of the better scene overall. So I thought it was close. I think Joe did a really great job. And I got to rewatch Guardians 3 because it's been a while, and you guys is
great fucking movie.
Yeah, great movie. Okay. So we're moving into the final question. Nazario is up 2-1. So Joe needs to hit this in order to send it to the bonus. The question was drafted in the category of actors and actresses. The question is, what is the best ending to a film featuring Quentin Tarantino as an actor? We are going to kick this off with Nazario. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
I'm going to take one of the Quentin Tarantino's best performances as an actor as one of the Gecko brothers in Dusk Till Dawn. From Dusk Till Dawn is the perfect culmination of the ending is the perfect combination of the film's wild genre-bending structure. It begins as a crime thriller and it ends up as a full-blown horror supernatural chaos. That escalation during the movie feels earned and exhilarating because nobody actually saw it coming. The reveal to the vampire bar being also part of a massive ancient Aztec temple hidden behind the building is a brilliant final twist. It recontextualizes the story and it opens the door to an entire mythology that could only be hinted at in this movie and could be explored in the future. The emotional payoff works in multiple levels, like George Clooney walks away as the lone survivor, scarred, morally complicated, refusing to bring a young girl into his violent world. Tragic, noir-like, adding gravitas to an already pretty insane film. The film ends on an unforgettable visual and thematic note. Chaotic, and it lingers in the mind longer than most of the usual horror crime movie finales. Also, it's hilarious when you see all the fucking trucks and every fucking thing just lying in the back of that grave. It's ending. It's funny. It's great.
Okay, we're going to move over to Joe. Joe, you have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
The truly great film endings wrap up plot points in a way that is satisfying for audiences, give closure to characters we've grown to love over 2 to 3 hours. And for me, the ending to Inglourious Bastards, which features an uncredited acting role for Tarantino, is the best of the bunch. We have Shoshana exacting her revenge on the Nazis through the power of cinema itself. The bastards succeed in their plan and literally shoot the face of the most evil man to have ever existed. Then we have Hans Landa, one of the most compelling movie villains of all time, who thinks he's won the war and put himself out of danger, is left squirming and squealing on the floor as Aldo carves a swastika into his head, giving him something he can't take off. It's an ending that caused shock and awe, changing history, and in doing so, gave us an unexpected, wholly satisfying ending in terms of both plot and character. It's masterfully executed and a gold standard of cinema endings.
Okay. All right. 5 minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
See, you're trying to sell me that the ending of those characters is good. The character payoffs are really uneven in that movie. Shoshana's arc ends in death. Yes, she gets her revenge, but it's even unacknowledged how she dies. She dies in the most horrible possible way off screen. And Landa's fate is the final joke, man. Like, he gets the fucking swastika on his head, and it just becomes like a fourth world breaking joke, like, I think this is my masterpiece, which feels like Quentin Tarantino winking at the audience, not as an actor, but as a director. It's not an earned closure.
And it is a masterpiece, right? The genre switch in From Dusk Till Dawn is fun, but I think it hinders its ending. I think it lacks cohesion, narrative payoff, and any sense of emotional reward because of that. You've spent this whole time with this crime thriller, and then it completely changes the genre, which I think ruins that sort of emotional character payoff that you could.
Oh, hell no. The fact that it pulls the genre twist is what is brilliant about this movie. Are you going to tell me now that Sinners is a bad movie because it turns from a gritty crime drama later into a vampire movie? These are things that were learned from Dusk Till Dawn. When they do the twist changing, it just gets another level to the film.
Sinners gives you a satisfying ending to the characters. All right. The problem is you spent time getting to know these characters and you don't really get a sense of satisfying ending because most of them are killed off just in a vampire way. But the way that the characters in Inglourious Bastards are killed off is in a way that makes sense to their characters. Shoshana gets to exact her revenge. The bastards get to kill Hitler. And
most of the bastards die off-screen meaningless ways too, by the way.
But the ones that we've grown to love, the main ones that we've had, like Donnie Donowitz, that is a satisfying. That's a satisfying ending because he's doing what he came there to do. And Hans Landa
killed Hitler and then he blew up. That is a satisfying ending for the Bear Jew.
Yes, Hans Landa, though, that's the big one. Hans Landa is a big one because he is the one who thought he could outsmart everybody. He thought he could outsmart everyone. He was so smug about himself, talking about comparing, wrongly comparing Jews to rats, and himself then ratting on the Nazis, and then that ending up being his downfall. That is a perfect, satisfying ending from the opening scene down to the final scene. That is perfect. Perfect ending to the
You're trying
character.
to also sell that the revisionist ending about killing Hitler in the burning theater. Yeah, it's
Also,
really
a big
just
twist ending
it
can
just
work for you,
goes
but it
into
can't work for
cartoonish.
me.
But your film is based on World War II. My fucking film is based on
It doesn't matter.
vampires. Okay,
You're
so your
saying
film turns into cartoonish territory because it undercuts the tension of all the earlier scenes, because it just becomes like, whoa, what the fuck? They killed Hitler. And like I said, most of the characters that you've grown up to love in this movie get to die not in meaningful ways, but part of a big ass shootout. Even Shoshana, with an effect, does get her revenge, dies fucking killed off screen in the projector scene. And like I said, Landa, you're saying like, yeah, he got a great kill. No, he didn't even die. They put a fucking swastika in his head and made a joke out of it. He gets to live, by the way. Like, yeah, he's gonna be a little uncomfortable. Maybe he has to wear a fucking hat, but he gets to live. So where's the payoff in that?
It's knowing, because the thing for Hans Landa wasn't about survival. It was about being the smartest. It was about being the best at what he could do and outsmarting everybody, and he failed to do that. Right. The problem is, you're talking about how the revisionist history doesn't work, but the problem is you're saying that a big great twist ending is what the big great twist and the genre ending and all that sort of stuff is what makes your ending work. But the big twist, change and shocking the audience that my ending doesn't. Both endings to these are essentially a fight.
The question is, what is the best ending? No, what is the best twist? If it was the best twist, your twist is shit.
But you're saying yours is
but the best end, yeah, mine works. But mine works because it grows out of what the movie is becoming. The movie starts off one way, takes a turn into deep horror. A lot of characters die because yes, now it's a horror film, and it's a fucking revelation in the end, because you think it's just a fucking titty bar that is hanging out in the corner of Mexico when they finally zoom out and they reveal that it was actually an ancient Aztec temple, and it's been doing this for fucking centuries. It's fucking great. And yes, the fact that George Clooney ends up not being a complete dick, it's earned and it's great. Yours just turns something that was a serious, funny drama coming story into like, okay, what the fuck are they doing when they kill Hitler now? Like, it just turns in a bad way.
Yours may be simpler, but what mine manages to do is actually expertly converge multiple.
It's not simpler. Yours is simpler.
Has all really reach satisfying conclusions. Yours keep saying yours works because it's shocking, but apparently mine doesn't work because it shocks the audience. Yours has the genre.
Mine is shocking, but it comes out of the story. Yours come out of fucking nowhere because it's not even set up during the movie. There's no hints that they're gonna get this turn. Even though Shoshana's revenge is a good thing, it feels. You know what it feels on? It feels like Hitler's going to that theater, like a tacked on ending, unplanned.
Absolutely not, because what the problem with most war films, especially Let's Kill Hitler war films, is that we know what the result is going to be. They won't succeed, but Bastards is unexpected because of that.
Time. Okay. We are going to start with Joe on the closing. Joe, you have 1 minute when you start talking.
What we have here are two endings that are shocking and unexpected, both with characters fighting for survival on a physical level. But that's where From Dusk Till Dawn ends. Bastards exceeds that by giving us narrative payoff, satisfying character moments, as well as the fight for survival on an existential level, as well as the physical. Characters like Shoshana, Aldo Rain, Donnie Donitz, what they are fighting for the survival of their race, of their people, not just themselves physically. The shock twist of From Dusk Till Dawn, while unexpected the first time, doesn't have that same impact on repeat viewings, and only goes to showcase the lack of plot and character conclusion that its ending provides. Bastards, on the other hand, provides all of these things in abundance. Aldo says it best, and we all know he is echoing both Tarantino and the audience's thoughts when he speaks that closing line, "This might just be my masterpiece." There's no just might be about it. It is a masterpiece. Narratively, character work, as an audience, perfect.
All right, we're going to go over to Nazario. Nazario, you have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
The first thing he's saying is that shocking endings don't play as well in the second viewing. Guess what? Yours doesn't play well either in a second viewing as well because it's not shocking anymore. The problem with your story is that it's based on real events, the things that happen to real people. And then they make a cartoon over like, hey, you know what? What if we killed Hitler? And that's supposed to make it a cool ending. Like I said, most of the characters you love die off screen and meaningless deaths. Even Shoshana, who does get her revenge, like I keep saying, dies in a stupid, pointless way. And they don't make a point at Orlando. They just make him a joke when they break the fourth wall. Like, yeah, it's my masterpiece. Like I said, mine has a twist ending, yes, but it comes out of what the story is. The twist is already done when it turns into a horror movie full of vampires. But it adds a deeper layer when you realize that the bar they were standing on is actually an Aztec temple. And they've been doing this shit for centuries, where you can see piles and piles of trucks and trucks just in the back. And the hilarious part is that you can just walk over to the corner of the bar and see those trucks and nobody acting like they are not there. It's something that is earned. Like George Clooney saying, I'm not a fucking dick. It's great. And as a bonus, my movie actually features Tarantino as an actor.
All right. Bring in the judges.
Great match, Joe. Whatever happens, this was fun.
It might not be over yet. Then again, it might be.
I said whatever happens.
Love that confidence, boys. Keep it up.
All right. I went with Joe. Both very good. This was good. I feel like talking about the endings of the movie, like it was a lot of attack on the others. It was really close. I think that at the end of the day, I liked what Joe had to say about the movie. The line that he said about, like, you go into most World War II, like, let's kill Hitler movies, knowing that, like, they're not going to do that, and then they do that. It makes the ending more worthwhile, and that you do actually get a lot of great character moments. And he took what Nazario was saying about, like, the winks at the camera and stuff and kind of made it positive out of the negative that Nazario was trying to make it. I think Nazario did a great job with his ending. I've actually never seen Still Dawn. I now know everything about it. Which is fine.
Damn.
Well, I knew the twist and I knew, like, all that stuff. I've just never actually watched it. And so I think Nazario did a good job of saying, like, why it was a cool ending. I think Joe just overall gave me the better pitch on the better ending. But it was really close. This was really good. Brian, your thoughts?
This was close. I know Javi thought his vote wasn't going to matter most of the night, but it's going to matter now because I voted Nazario on this one. I think that Nazario, I think when he was talking about how Inglourious Bastards, how that the whole anyone who kills Hitler is a little weird, it's a little distracting. Because it doesn't. Up until then, you kind of could feel like you were actually in, like, a World War II film, but now this kind of takes out, because it's revisionist history, this kind of fantasy. It is a little bit weird. I know Joe was attacking him, talking about how his film, his endings got the same kind of shocking twist at the end, but then Nazario defended that well, saying, no, my twist was halfway through the movie, when it turned out there was a vampire bar and the vampire showed up. The whole reveal at the end with the how it's been going on for centuries and everything, that more added depth to it. It was kind of an extra stinger that kind of added something extra on top of everything you'd already seen, as well as having wrapped up George Clooney's character arc and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought that Nazario pitched is better.
Okay. Javi.
Oh, thanks, Brian. I almost left it blank. I went with Joe. I think Joe Tim was right that there was a lot of attack. I think Joe played defense a little bit better in terms of like, yeah, it becomes kind of cartoonish violence by the end of it. And then Joe was just like, well, you're not expecting that because you're expecting like a probably not a biopic of the bastards because I don't think they were real. Maybe they were. I don't know. But like you'd think it's like a historical drama of some sort, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh frick, they killed Hitler. What the heck? Like that was my thought. I was like, yeah, they're obviously not going to succeed, and I was like, oh yeah, it's Tarantino. Obviously, he's just going to screw with all of it. And yeah, just the fact that it's like, I think the side gag of like you see all the trucks behind the Aztec temple. I think that's a funny point, but I think if you're gonna say like, oh, it's over the top and it's kind of ridiculous, it's like, yeah, but Inglourious Bastards does that with much more of a serious tone, elements of humor, right? But like, it's significantly much more. It's about like 2/3 of the way when like the big twist of From Dusk Till Dawn, whereas like the end of Bastards is much more like that is much more of an exciting twist. So, yeah, that's Joe.
Okay. All right. So we are all tied up. That means we're moving to the bonus. Here's how this is going to work. I have randomized whether this was going to come from fandom or general movies, and then randomized the remaining categories that weren't picked in the main round. Then got the question. I'm going to say the question and post it in the private chat. I'm then going to repeat the question the second time. Once I have repeated it, you guys can pick your answer. Whoever says their answer first will be going first. You will each get 45 seconds, followed by 30 seconds. Any questions, gentlemen?
Nope.
Okay. The side of Fanzone that was drafted was fandom. The category was DC/Worlds of DC. And the question is, what is the best non-Batman DC or Worlds of DC film? Again, what is the best non-Batman DC/Worlds of DC film? AKA cannot have Batman in the movie.
That takes out Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it's rough.
Does the Batarang and Shazam count?
There's a doll of Batman in it, so
Superman the movie.
Okay. Superman the movie from Joe.
I'm gonna go with the Watchmen.
All right. Superman the movie versus Watchmen. I'm going to take out the judges. I'm going to stay on screen for this to give you guys your countdowns. Joe, you have 45 seconds on the clock when you start talking.
Superman the movie is a perfect comic book film. It perfectly blends from comic book. It has wonderful performances, dual performance from Christopher Reeve, great performance as a villain from Gene Hackman, even a great performance from Marlon Brando at the beginning as that father. You get a great narrative story about Clark Kent's journey from beginning to end, the death of Jonathan Kent and how that inspires him, then going off, learning who he is, and then bringing himself into Metropolis as an adult and being that shining beacon. It has great heroic moments. It has a great ending. It has a great romance between Margot Kidder and Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve is perfect in that dual performance of being both Clark Kent and Superman. He plays it perfectly. I think the plot is really unique, with Gene Hackman being that evil villain with the real estate thing. I think across the board it works.
Time. Nazario, 45 seconds.
I believe The Watchmen is one of the most perfect adaptations of a comic book come to the screen. Every actor that participates in the movie, Jeffrey, from the comedian, Mr. Manhattan, the Night Owl #2, they are all adapted perfectly, and the story keeps the feel and the story and the meaning of the original book. And even the end, where they actually changed something from the original comic book, it made it work better because it's more believable than what happened. Superman the movie is a solid start for comic book movies, but you're trying to sell me that the ending is one of the greatest ending when he just flies around the earth and turns back time, which makes no sense. And it has been made fun of historically, especially when they did the director's cut of Superman 2, and Richard Donner just did the same ending again. It doesn't work a long time. And Man of Steel is a great one for the adaptation of the Superman character.
Joe, 30 seconds.
It is a great ending because it does build on what Superman is told by Jor-El at the beginning about not interfering, going against that, and going what Jonathan Kent said. He was always there to do something special. I think one of the biggest issues with your movie, it is too long. It does drag in the middle. And the one of the worst things, you have Malin Ackerman, who is an awful actress. She gives an awful performance throughout this movie, and it really drags the movie down in general. I think Superman is coherent and standard throughout. And it does not, it never breaks from that standard. It's good beginning, middle, and end, but Watchmen drags in the middle and it has poor acting performances in it, whereas Superman the movie does not.
Time. Nazario, 30 seconds.
You cannot focus only on Malin Ackerman's performance because every movie has like a weak point. Like the sidekick from Lex Luthor in that movie is not that great either. And even if your movie works as a Golden Age Superman adaptation, it doesn't really work as a modern Superman adaptation. Even Man of Steel, which got a little pushback at the beginning, has become so loved by the fans now because it actually develops the character more in line with what the Superman character is today. Watchmen, on the other hand, it is based on a closed story. It has a middle, beginning, and end. It is one of the most perfect adaptations put on the screen, especially when the revision is ending.
Time. Jeez, guys.
Oh, frick, I'm going first. Hate this. I hate when you do this to me, Tim. Okay.
All right. Javi, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
This was good. I didn't expect Watchmen. I didn't know where it was gonna go, but I was like, all right, Superman the movie is the obvious choice. I don't know where they're going with that. Maybe Shazam, maybe the Suicide Squad, maybe I don't know. Maybe Superman 2. You could have made that argument. I went with Joe. Joe was able to. At first, I was like, yeah, he's giving the cliche points, and then Nazario gave as to why it's a great adaptation from Watchmen, the graphic novel, to Watchmen, the movie. But I think Joe's attacks of like, yeah, Silk Spectre 2 is not great in it. It does drag a lot in the middle. It's a little. It can get a little convoluted. Like I think Joe was able to paint. Yes, it's hokey. The first Superman's hokey, and like the ending's dumb, but in a way, it's a very Superman Golden Age movie. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just giving it a pass or whatever. It didn't. It's the 70s. You kind of have to work with it. I didn't buy the Richard Donner copied it in Superman 2. Therefore, he's making fun of it. I think that's him doubling down on it, if anything. So I went with Joe. It was 50-50 for me. 51.
Yeah, this was really close for me as well. I ended up going with Nazario. I thought that both had really good points. I like both these movies a lot, and I thought they were tick for tack the whole time. Silk Spectre 2's bad. So is Otis. You know, like I thought they were going head for head there. I think just coming down to, for me with Nazario, talking about changing the ending to make the movie better, and then also throwing out how ridiculous the ending of Superman the movie is. I think Joe tried to did a good job of trying to say this is kind of like it goes with what his father was telling him and everything at the beginning of the movie and everything was a good point. But I think Nazario just had the slight edge for me, but I also could have gone either way. Brian, you're deciding this one. What's going to happen? Oh, no.
Well, I will say that when they gave their choices, I was a little worried because Watchmen, I do not like. It's not a good movie. But I'm going to put, I put my personal opinions aside. I go by the debates. But you definitely kind of had a little bit of uphill battle already starting from that. But I think you're right. I think it was very tit for tat. I think they both had kind of good digs at the other person's film, but it really was a knockout blow and kind of an easy knockout blow when Nazario brought up the ending of Superman, the whole flying around and turning back time. It's just such a silly thing, and it's hard to defend against. And Joe, I think he tried, but there's not much you can do for something so silly.
All right. Well, that means your winner is Nazario Montenegro. Wow. All right, Joe, we're going to come and talk to you first. Crazy match, man. Crazy run in this tournament. I always feel bad when you lose because you stay up so late. But this was a really well fought match and a really great bonus round pick there. How are you feeling?
Yeah, a little bit deflated actually. I don't know, personal opinions aside. I think the Guardians one I think was a fair one. I think I missed some points some preparing for some attacks that Nazario had, and some really good attacks from him, especially the stuff about the High Evolutionary's character. That was really good, and I think that was definitely deserved. I think a couple more points, a couple more seconds maybe on Superman. I had no opportunity to defend Ned Beatty, for God's sake. It's Ned Beatty. I would have defended it. It's Ned Beatty. And, is he really going to bring up the Snyderverse? No, I'm not going to get into that discussion. Nazario did really well. He fought really well. And let's see I really hope he can go all the way.
Yeah, Joe, we're going to see you back later this season. This isn't the end of your year. I think, you've been playing phenomenal, unless you say it's the end of your year. By that. Look, but this is just another showing that proves that you're one of the best that's playing right now. Just need to get you over that hump, get you to the title match. But Joe, this was phenomenal. When you come back, are we in a place now where we want to just have a couple background quick matches, get in shape, or do you want to for fun, or do you want to just be right back in it?
No, I think that could be fun. I think I'd like it.
Beautiful. Joe, congrats on the great run in the tournament and everything going on in your life, Joe. Congrats. So we will see you very soon with another match as we bring in the winner. Nazario, what the hell?
Did my manager leave?
Yes.
Fucker. I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm just trying to have fun with this shit. And so far, it's turning out pretty fucking great. I kind of felt like I had that from Dusk Till Dawn one. Maybe too cocky of me, but fuck it. I still won, which is what matters. I'm honestly, I'm just shocked, man, to be honest. Like I said, I wasn't part of the original plan for this. I just came into bat like a pinch hitter for shit that happens. And this is my third title shot. I have no fucking clue what I'm gonna do. I have no fucking idea how to beat Kirk, but I will fucking try. So there's that.
Yeah, let's talk about it real quick. You're going up against Kirk. This is your third title shot, but only second time against Kirk, I believe, because you.
Cody, I did Cody one and I did Kirk once. They both kicked my ass.
This is the strongest you've been playing in a while, which is bananas. You think you could do it? Brian wants you to do it.
I wish. You know what? I'm gonna believe in myself and say that maybe I have a shot. I just have to pick the weirdest fucking possible shit, so he refuses to watch him, and then I can get an opening. Have you banned Kurosawa yet? Because he uses that a lot.
No, but I think he might have used it in his last match. I got to look. So he might not be able to use it. So, Nazario, congrats on the win. We will see you in the title match very soon. And that is going to do it for us today at Fanzone Debate. Thank you to Nazario and Joe. Thank you to Brian and Javi. We will see you very soon with that title match. Until then, have a good night. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
There we go. Thanks a lot. Come again.
Hey, I won't forget what you've done for me here today.
I would prefer that you do.